Hey friends, it's me, Al, and I am working on all those pots that you seen me covering the other night. And I am on this little treadle wheel, this little kick wheel, and I need to trim and put texture patterns on some mugs. So over half of the mugs are dry enough now to have texture patterns put on. And so that's what I'm doing. I have the little rasps, and these things are pretty nice. And I also have my handy dandy. So what I do is smooth the bottoms with this, and then thumb down the corners. So I probably shouldn't take too long because I have quite a few to do. So my goal is to do about 20, and I can do another 20 tomorrow, right? So I'm gonna to make things easier, I thought I had my, yeah, so I guess, yeah, let me find my other turntable. It may make things easier. So hopefully everybody's doing fine. I'm on this little tiny kick wheel, and it works great. So it has like a little basin underneath, and I like to trim pots on it. So we're gonna put texture patterns into these while I drone on about things, right? So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna create some design work that will show up, look at that, that will show up in the glaze. And this goes quite fast, right? So if you have like 50 pots, you want to move right through them pretty quick. And so this is how we do it. These will be handled probably tomorrow night, these ones that we're doing now, because they're getting dry. And so if you distort the rim, you have a rounder, right, that you put inside here. And I have a rounder someplace. So look, I am a disorganized potter, okay? But one rule is to not fuss too much. So what I need to do is see this smooth part right there. I need to put texture on that too. So I'm gonna go right down the side of the mug like this. And then if I want to influence, like we were talking yesterday, how the mug sits, we can do that too. So we can even mess with this rim a little bit in thickness and have it look a little bit interesting rather than just a straight up round rim. See, you get that texture pattern? So you want to go back in and smooth that round so it's not like a really sharp edge like that. So I had a rough day. It was really busy at the big paper factory today. I worked from 7 in the morning to 7 at night. That's my hours. And I have one more day of 12 hours to do. Then I get vacation. Hooray. So that means I get 1 week off from the paper factory. And I will be doing the pottery sale. The pottery, it's the artist open studio weekend, and I will be a guest at a artist retreat here in Pennsylvania. Hooray! And so I don't know. I come on this channel when I come on this channel to hide, right? Because if I went on my other channel, all my friends and family and neighbors are over there, and they would tell on me I was up late making pots rather than sleeping for work. But I got these shows coming, and I mean, if some coworkers go out drinking, you know, nobody yells at them, right? And here I am making pots, and I just don't want to hear about it. So I'm going to hide over here on this old-timey channel. And if you want to subscribe to the Pottery channel, the one with all my peeps, you can do that. I also have my Facebook lives I do on my Facebook page. But, alright, so let's see how this sits. Now, see how I manipulated that bottom? Look at that. It makes it interesting, right? So when you put a handle on that, it'll look amazing. Alright, so since we know what we're doing, we need to make 30 of these, right? All the same style, but they're not going to be all the same because they're handmade. We just need to make them look like relatives, not twins, right? Thank you. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, I am putting them into the bread racks right here. So see the pots, they're in the bread rack. I stack the bread racks up to dry the pots because the bread racks are great for drying pots and for holding pots. You can fit 22 pots in a bread rack. So let's get going here, right? We're just gonna buzz these right out because time is limited. And we only have today. That's why I'm doing this, because we only have today, right? And you don't want to have regrets that you didn't do something. So Viktor Frankl says to always ask yourself, if I was living today a second time, what would I do, right? And that's what I asked myself. So if I live to be 86, I might only have 13,338 days left to tell the world my story, right? And if you want to do something, you better do it now, because yesterday, it's already gone, right? And tomorrow isn't here yet. So you only got like right now. I could fall over right now on cam. And I would fall over right into these pots. And that would be amazing. As long as I don't fall over at the paper factory. That'd be terrible. So I think the worst places that you could die is falling over at work or falling over in some foreign land in war, right? Far from home. So, but here I am now with you all who I don't know. And you're all strangers to me, but really you're not. because you stopped by to see how pots were made. So I'm gonna continue this texture pattern on down here like I did the other one. And the reason why I am using this tool is because it reaches into these curves better, right? See that? If I used the flat tool, it wouldn't. So let's see. How long do you take to make a pot? Well, I can make 18 in an hour throwing. And if I made lazy pots, I could just handle them all. Probably I could handle 50 pots, I'm going to say in 4 hours. And then to fire out pots, there's 18 pots to a kiln shelf, and I can fit 3 kiln shelves in the kiln. That's a 6-hour firing, and while that's firing though, I can make more pots. So things move right along. It all depends on how much detail you put into them, and some folks will tell you it takes ages and ages, and they will go on and bellyache about how long handmade takes and how much work they put into it. All that is true, right? Maybe. But what they're trying to tell you is that handmade work is a little bit more work than production work. But I do production work and handmade because I work at the big paper factory making paper towels, right? We make millions of paper towels. Automation, all that. So, my job all day is to load raw materials and to do quality checks to make sure all the automation and computers and robots are doing the robot and computer things correctly so that the paper towels are made to spec. So that's how you know when your pot is done or not. Your pot is not perfect, it's just made to spec. If I took all the time in the world to make a perfect pot, we wouldn't have any work go out, right? So we want to just make work to spec to our specs at the time, and then we ship it. We put it out there to tell our story to the world. Because how many projects are done that just sit around because you're afraid not to be perfect? And many times done is better than perfect, right? So by the time I'm done, I'm going to have maybe 50 good pots. Not perfect pots. But with each pot, I can get better, right? Because I'm practicing. So you get better making the many rather than perfecting the few. How long have you been making pots? I have been making pots actively for maybe 20 years, off and on. Off and on meaning I had an apprenticeship when I went to school. I got my degree in ceramics. Did it 2 years. Well, they called me back, so I did 3 years doing an apprenticeship, and then finished school, and then I had to put all my equipment in storage because I didn't have a studio, and me and my wife were saving for a house. Then when we got the house, I put in a ceramic studio. So then I took to making pots and building a local business, and I run Creek Road Pottery in Laceyville, Pennsylvania. And I sell mostly all to local people in local shows. So I collaborate with local businesses and around the holidays, and with probably 15 other businesses in the winery. We create tours, and then we have 3 days where people come shop to shop, and we give away prizes, and people People go to the winery and they get drunk, and then they come and buy all the blue pots, and I sell a lot of pots to Mrs. Davis. And Mrs. Davis is my ideal customer, and she is a working middle class lady who loves blue pots and loves going out with her friends on the weekend and just having a nice time at the wineries and visiting local businesses. And they're also my neighbors, right? So if you were my neighbor, you could come down and buy pots. Alright, so as you can tell, I am taking a bit of a time here. I'm getting chatty, and I am losing focus on how this should go, right? So I need to focus, because we have a lot of pots to get through. I need to do this right here to a lot of pots, because I don't want to make lazy looking pots. I could just handle all these and have it done, but we need to add something special, because plenty of people make lazy pots. If you just take an extra 5 minutes with one to make your pot tell a different story, right? People like to remember that better. All right. So let's square off this bottom, and then we'll see how it sits, right? There we go. All right. Yo, go get a coffee, go to the bathroom, whatever you need to do, man. I'm not holding you here. There we go. Kind of cool looking. So later, when we handle these, and I'll handle these, I'll come up on cam and handle these. We may touch them up a little bit more, right? Not to make them perfect, but just to get rid of all the little boogers and stuff that end up on them. Because nobody likes pots with boogers. A lot of beginner pots have pots with boogers. Alright, so what I'm doing here is just unclogging my little raspy thing. And I need to be sure I got all the surface area textured the way I want it. Because these lines that I'm making will show up in the glaze, right? There we go. Alright, so let's see how this sits, right? So that's not bad. You put a handle on that, that'll look alright. That'll be a nice little coffee mug. Alright, so we got 3. I'm on the 4th one. See, this takes time. So I need to focus. I need to do a bunch of these. So let's just do this, all right? So some folks may take a while to dry pots out. But I have a drying box, and I have this wheelie cart thing that I stack all the pots in the bread racks, and I put them in like this little, under this little table that's closed in. And then I have a heater in there. And then all night, the little pots dry. and then that gets them ready for the first firing, or the bisque firing. So usually by the next morning, they are dry enough to put into the gas kiln. So I fire with all gas. All right. So I like what's going on there with that texture. So if you hit these just right, in the right dryness, you can make some nice pots. So see how that texture's coming up? That's nice. That's what we want. Because when you hold this pot with a nice warm drink, you're gonna feel that texture pattern. That's what we're going for, right? Because I leave that bottom unglazed on some of these. So I may need to find my rounder. So the rounder is simply a wine cup, a glass wine cup. Works great. So if you're drinking while you're making pots, you can just use your wine cup to round out the rims that you distorted. Let me find that, right? So that's not bad. Look at that. Kind of looks like a potato right now, but with a handle glazed, it's going to look pretty decent. Let me find my rounder. I had it here somewhere. I was using a bowl at one time. So maybe my rounder. Yeah, I'm not sure where it went. I'll probably put it up someplace so it wouldn't smash, because having glass in the studio is a little bit unsafe, right? But we can use another pot as a rounder. We can use this, so we can just stick this in here just to round that out a little bit more. But I'm not worried about them being a little unround. Yeah, I have a feeling this is going to take longer than I thought, but we'll get through it, right? So I heard another hurricane was going to come through Florida area. Sounds pretty terrible. Have some friends down there. Hopefully everyone's going to be okay. And if you live in Florida, I'm hoping you're going to be okay. So there is another rasp that I really like using. may go get that rasp. And I may open up the studio doors so you can hear the peepers. Because I'm pretty sure the peepers I am looking for is a long-handled rasp. I need to find that. There it is. And I found the wine cup. Found the wine cup. Found my rounder. So watch what this one does. This works great. Got a cobweb. This works great on edges. So you can do a pretty nice peel here. And square out the bottom and create some really interesting shapes onto your mug. So when you set it down, you have that interesting shape going on. See that? Makes it look interesting. So yeah, we'll hit these. We'll hit these. Areas. Clean up. Do cleanup work. Once we get the handling. Oh, when I started making pots, I was, let's see, 18 after high school. I went to art school, did the foundation courses, and it was my second year that I started doing pots. So I started making pots in, let's see, I graduated in 1994, got into pots fall of 1996. I originally went in for illustration, for drawing, and because I was fairly decent at drawing, and I thought, well, I kind of like it. But then I seen my professor in Ceramics 1. He threw a big bowl on the wheel, Bill Tursty. I'm still friends with him. And he lives in the area. And he was one of the people who found me my first updraft Olympic kiln. And but anyways, he threw a big bowl on the wheel, and I was like, oh, I gotta do that. Because after, he cut it in half to show us the form, and then he could make another one, and I was like, oh, that's amazing, because it takes so long to do a drawing, right? You gotta build it up with layers. So we were doing pen and ink and pencil and all kinds of stuff. I was into stippling, pen and ink stippling, and the pots. If something wasn't working out, you could just fold it down and make a new one and not cry about it. Not so with a drawing, right? You can't start those over after you've spent so long on them. A lot of people think, every pot deserves a chance, but that's not true. You make a lot of ugly pots before you make some nice ones. So here's a pot that has a wobble top, and I like to save the wobble tops because people find them interesting, right? But most potters would probably toss the wobble tops. All right, so let's try something like this. Since this is straight, let's hit this side and put this kind of texture pattern on it, right? See the design that makes? When that's glazed over, that ends up looking pretty nice. So it's not hard to make pots. It's just like anything, you have to put in time. And it doesn't even take talent, it just takes practice, right? So it's so easy. Making pots is so easy, a caveman could do it. Oh wait, they did. So if a caveman could make pots, you can make pots too. You start out with little pinch pots, right? You could fire them in a little pit firing, in a little. You can make succulent planters. You could pit fire out back. As long as you don't set the place on fire, right? And as long as like your homeowners association lets you, or your township, so I live so far out, nobody really cares what I do out here, which is kind of nice. Now look at that. We took a boring pot and made it interesting, right? To put a handle on that, oh yeah, you need to make a ton of bad pots before you make good pots, right? But you shouldn't be so hard on yourself, because I would say after 100 pots, you can start like selling your pots to your friend. As long as it's safe, and as long as it can hold whatever it's supposed to, and it doesn't leak, and the glazes are okay, then I would say go to it. I mean, who's to say, right? Who's to say who can sell pots and who can't? But I can tell when I'm out of practice, like a runner who might be a little sore if they took a couple weeks off. I can tell because my pots don't look as good. And sometimes I need to throw 50 before they start meeting the specs that I'm looking for, right? So you need to set your own specs, and you need to try to work towards those. And that's how you know if you have a good pot or not, if it meets your specs. And everybody's specs are different. So my specs might be different from another potter, right? They might look at my stuff and be like, oh man, that he's a pretty bad potter. But I can just be like, hey, it's not for you. Thank you very much. I make pots the way I want to. For a few other people who care. I don't need to make pots for everybody. I just need to make a few pots for a few people who care. And the rest, if you make pots for everybody, Well, everybody can, like, go to Walmart and get pots, right? You could buy Walmart pots. So you need to make work that matters for people who care and for the least valuable audience, right? So you only need maybe a couple hundred true fans. I probably got like three true fans. I sell quite a few pots here, but I probably only got like 3 true. Nah, I'm only kidding. I might have like 20. 20 super fans. You should never take your customers for granted, because nobody owes you anything. And I always remember that, right? I always remember that nobody owes me anything, and I'm thankful for every single sale. And my goal, as I said before, for each sale is to sell 1 pot. If I can sell 1 pot, I'm happy. Anything over that is a bonus for me. Suppose I should turn the camera so I'm actually in the picture, right? There we go. It's kind of leaning off to the side. So I got to clean up the studio. This place is junked out. So I missed a little spot right there. But some of the spots, some of the surface areas that I miss are kind of nice too, because the glaze looks different there. And the contrast looks nice between textured and non-textured, right? All right, so let's do something here with this bottom. Oh my God, this is taking forever. It's taking a lot longer than I thought it would, because I'm talking. I think if I wasn't on cam, I would probably just burn right through these, but okay, there we are. It's better to be on cam because I don't like making pots by myself. I like to have friends. There we go. It's not a bad one. You put a handle on that, be a nice coffee mug, right? All right. Oh. Yeah, these will definitely be ready to handle tomorrow. So thumbing around these bottoms also compresses the bottoms, so you don't get as many cracks. I think anyways, but I could be wrong. Because a lot of times people have all these big ideas about pots and what they think, and a lot of it is just probably what they heard from others, but some of it isn't true. So there's a lot of myths about pot making. thought I just seen a mouse or something. I hope not. I do leave the doors open a lot, so I wouldn't be surprised. Had a chipmunk in here one time. That was pretty funny. Alright, so let's see how this sits. Right. So when these are a little bit dry, smooth out the edges on these. Because you want your rims smooth. There we go. Looks like a big glob, but put a handle on it. Not bad. All right, we're halfway done. I'm gonna probably get this whole tray done. I feel pretty good about it. And then tomorrow I can trim the rest. I don't want to get too far behind though. I got work in the morning. But I do have enough mugs for the weekend show. So I don't know. We'll see what we get done, right? It's kind of like a chunky looking rock kind of mug. But with the right glaze, I know that this will look pretty nice. I already know what glaze I'm going to use. go. Not bad. Oh, I'm spending way too much time on each one. Oh. Okay. So what you can do also is make candle cups. Any of these that don't get handled, I can send to have a wax put inside. So these could be candle cups also. And I make candle cups and have them filled. And I need to probably do 40 candle cups for the show. But I'm not sure if I'm going to have time, because I only have 2 weeks, and the candle lady that fills them for me needs enough time. And I don't like to hurry her. So I may hold off and do candles for the Christmas show, Black Friday weekend. So at the Christmas show, sometimes I do blue Christmas. All the pots are blue. And put up this cheesy blue Christmas tree. Have Elvis playing. I probably overdo it with the blue, right? But it's a lot of fun. Especially if I get some larger pieces done. Large blue mixing bowls. Oh, looks so beautiful in the shop with everything blue. I have to show you all some pictures of my blue Christmas. The first one that I did. It was really nice. So what I need to do is work on some new glazes. I hand mix all my glazes here, and I'm getting ready to move into wood firing, and I'm putting up a kiln outside. I'll show it to you someday. Maybe when I'm on vacation, if you come on, I'll show you the wood kiln I'm building. I've been working on the project for about a year because I was given a wood kiln. I had to deconstruct it, have it shipped to my house, and then I have to rebuild it here. I had to put some new brick into it. Found a good deal on brick. And yes, I'll be making wood-fired pots. And my big goal is the first thing to come out of the wood kiln will be old-timey wood-fired shave bowls for people who do traditional wet shaving. I will be doing wood-fired wet shave lather bowls, and also I will be doing, hopefully, shave brush, wood-fired shave brush handles. Right? So we make the handles, we put the knots in them, we find out, we try to throw them all the same size so that you have the right size hole. You measure the hole, the inside, with digital calipers. And then from there, you buy the shave brush knots, and then you glue them in with some special kind of glue. I use a high temp glue, and so I think I had some images of the shave brush handles that I've done on this side, on this channel. For sure it's on the other channel too, my pottery channel. I just come over here to hide, right? I come over here to hide from the peeps for a while, to hang out with people I don't really know. But some of you are old-timey subscribers, and I'm looking for a guy who used to do a little show called God Talk, and his username was Third Proverb. Then he changed his name to Brother John. So if Brother John is watching, just drop in the comments, say hey, because I'm wondering how you're doing, man. So back before I did pots, I used to like talking about religion and mythology, and I still do read all those things, and I enjoy it very much. Alright, so I still feel a little bit of weight in there, so I'm gonna do something to this bottom here. I'm gonna square this off. Alright, we don't have too many left. We're coming up on an hour, and I have a couple more to do. I'm gonna finish out this. This session with probably 6 or 7 more mugs. I know I'm gonna do it. Then I need to go to sleep for work tomorrow, because I got one more 12-hour day at the paper factory. Then I gotta fire all these pots out. There. Now when we put this on a flat surface, look how interesting that looks now. I love it. Alright, let's keep going here. Almost done. So, you can manipulate the bottoms also. I think. Yeah, let's try this, huh? Let's try this. But I don't want this logo in this. So I have this. See that texture? I'm wondering if I can just press that in there. And if I do that on all 4 sides, maybe I can make a squish bottom mug, right? that looks interesting. All right. So now let's flatten out that bottom. I just knocked the rim. That'll be okay. All right. So when you make pots, or when you do anything, it's always good to take chances and try something that may not work. Because you never know, right? All right. So now we do. Flatten out the bottom, trying to keep that shape. See, look, I'm complaining that I need to get going, and then I get all these ideas, right? Probably 10 of you are just like, Al, trim the pots, man. Just trim the pots. So that has a bit of curve to it, so I'm going to trim like this. So I don't know how I feel about that, but it needs a little more texture work on it. So let's do that. So maybe well, I just gave myself more work to do. Trying a new idea when I'm trying to be in a hurry. So I need to get rid of this non-textured surface right there. Oh, hey, I have probably over 20 years off and on. I've been doing it for 8 years straight when I bought my house and put in a studio. Before then, I was working manufacturing, and I still am, but I do this, and this makes enough money so I don't need to go for a promotion in manufacturing. I've been at the same place at the big paper towel factory for 18 years now, and I work for a really nice team leader, and he wants me to be his backup. I'd be his backup without the pay because I make more in the pots than I would if I got the raise, right? With being in the backup role is more stress. So I'd rather make pots. Thank you very much. So it is possible to get into pots. A good time to get into pots was yesterday, and the second best time to get into pots is right now. So I would go to it. You could try it out, see if it's something you enjoy, because there's different reasons why you would do pots. If it's to relax, then it would be for a different reason than maybe I do it. Yeah, so I make the pots to build community. I love community building, and eventually I'm gonna retire into the pots. So I need to build the business so I can get out of the paper factory before it kills me, right? Not that it would, because retirement investments from the paper factory ends up being pretty decent. However, I want to get out of there at age 55, and I have 5 more years. I've been doing the pots for 8. I got it built up pretty decent, putting in the wood kiln. Once that gets in, I can start doing workshops and inviting people over to learn how to wood fire and to let them fire, and also run classes for homeschoolies. A lot of homeschoolies in the area, and they don't have access to artists and art, so I thought about doing classes for homeschoolies and allowing the kids to bring in wild clay that they find and learning how to test it to find out what temperature it fires at. I have quite a few kilns that they can mess up in to learn about firing, and that's one of the things that I would push at the pottery is to mess up, right? You'll be able to mess up. Like, nothing is going to be perfect. So if you have the freedom to mess up, you can have the freedom to create, right? Because you're trying things that may not work. Oh, well, it depends on how you're starting out on. If you're just starting out and you want to do little pots, like little thumb pots, you could get a low fire clay, and then you could pit fire in your back lawn, and you could learn about pit firing, and you could make succulent plant holders and little things like that from your little low fire pots. So it is starting to rain outside, and it sounds beautiful coming down. I love the country. Did I mention that? All right, so we have a mug with a pretty interesting shape now. Oh man. So I got 5 more mugs to trim, y'all. 5 more mugs to trim with you, y'all. Then I need to go to bed. because I got work in the morning at the paper factory. So let's do this. Let's do this quick. All right. Because the rest of the mugs I can do tomorrow. Tomorrow night. Yeah, so I would use low fire clay to start out with, because you wouldn't necessarily need a kiln to work with low fire clay, and you can look up videos on how to pit fire, and that would be a way to fire. Or you could make your own little kiln, run a weed burner into it, and make temperature that way, right? There's plenty of ways to do it. Robinson Crusoe fired pots when he was on the island, and he talks about it if you've ever read the book Robinson Crusoe. Alright. So I'm not sure. This has a weird shape to it. This may take some work here. There we go. This pot here is stumping me. Because, I'll tell you why. It has a flared rim, right? I need to do something to this bottom to make it look halfway decent, right? So let's try something. Oh, I'm spending way too much time. L, come on. All right. Let's make a swirly, a deep swirly. 5. Alright, maybe we got it. Maybe we got it. So let me get the clay out of this thing, and I'll flip it over and we'll take a look at it, right? A little bit better, huh? A little bit better. Alright. If somebody complains about that, you better be buying it, right? Only the buyers get to complain about ugly pots. Okay, let's see how this looks. Let me do a spin here. Yeah, not bad. I think it'll look okay with a handle. Alright, moving on. I'm almost thinking. I may leave some plain just because I'm pressed for time. And even though they'll be lazy pots, the glaze and the firing technique will be dynamic enough to make the pot interesting. Now see, these will make nice candle cups right here. Not bad. I'm kind of glad all these don't look the same, you know? Alright. So what I might do, doing it again. I'd like to create some kind of texture pattern. That will show subtly through the glaze in those lines with that rutile glaze. So if I spend a ton of time going around this cup, look at that subtle line. This will show up underneath that rutile glaze. So I'm saying I need to hurry, and then I get into doing this, right? That's just me being silly. Oh well. What are they gonna do if I'm tired at work? Make me work night shift? Force me to work night shift if I'm tired at work? Probably be 3 drunk people there tomorrow anyways. Sal, why are you so tired? So I was up all night. It's up all night doing pot. I'm addicted to pot. You'll be like, oh, we gotta stage an intervention for our teammate Al. He's addicted to pot. Okay, so see these subtle lines? They'll show up in the glaze. And that'll look pretty nice. Okay, let's keep going. I got 3 more to do. 3 more. Alright. So look, tomorrow when I come on, we need to get right to it, right? We can't be messing around. think I'm going to cover these up the same way I did. I'm kind of hurrying now. Because we can't have these too dry. These are almost ready for handling. See, I only did the bottom of that one. So maybe that's okay. But maybe it needs something. Maybe it needs something. So when this dries, I will give it a quick little brush, and all these little boogers will come right off. But what I'm doing here will make this look like grass or something, right? Maybe it's grasses. And a nice handle on this, I think, will look great. Underneath, it'll be subtle underneath the glaze. And I'm crying about it now, but I'm like, well, if later, if this turns out kind of nice, I'll be like, oh, so glad I took the time to do that, right? Okay, so you'll want to brush all those little things off. But if I do that now, it'll get stuck in the lines. So we're going to wait until this dries, and then we will brush it off when it's dry. Probably outside, because you shouldn't mess with clay dust, right? Oh. Okay, two more. Two more. So this one I can texture like this. Another thing that I need to make, coffee pour overs. I've been dying to make some of those because I have one that I use and I love it, coffee pour overs. And I need to make beer tumblers and beer mugs. Um, so those would be made with 2 pounds. 2 pounds. So, I'm wondering if I do a knock. If I do a knock like this. So now what I need to do is make this flat on the bottom. See, I'm saying I need to get done, but then I keep trying new things. Alright, so let's do a tap here. Yeah, that sits flat. Look at that. It's not bad for like a rustic kind of mug. Now with a spring handle on it, that'll look nice. Some mugs look nice with different types of handles. This kind of looks like a potato. Not gonna lie, right? Alright. So let's do something here. Let's try to texture this. Like, hell, we're supposed to be making pots, not potatoes. There we go. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, not bad. Yeah, fired out, that won't look bad. Alright. So this last one, I am just gonna because if I made all texture pots, right, there's gonna be at least 3 people out there being like, do you have any plain ones? You know, like, I'd like to talk to the manager, please. Do you have any plain ones in the back? And I'll be like, yeah, man, I got one back here. Alright, friends. Well, thanks for coming by to the old Wayman 29 channel that I've had for, I don't know, like 17 years now. And just started posting clay videos all of a sudden because I'm hiding. I'm hiding from my main channel. So, if you want to say hi, come by to Creek Road Pottery online. You can write me a letter. I have the Pottery Pen Pal program. And you can handwrite me a letter like it's 1980, put a stamp on it, put it in the mailbox, and send it to me, and I'll write you back. How cool is that, huh? because the idea is to slow down interactions. And what you just did here was see me make pots for an hour and a half, and that took some time, and that made you slow down. And I slowed down to make pots after working 12 hours at the big paper factory. All right, there you have it, friends. So I think on this channel I used to say, take care, friends, and if everybody's thinking alike, then somebody isn't thinking. I think that's what I used to say. All right, so if you come back tomorrow, I'll be trimming more pots and putting on handles. I'll be putting on spring handles. And we'll handle a bunch of pots. I need to handle probably like 30 tomorrow because it's going to be serious because I got deadlines, right? Got deadlines. Got homework due. Alright, I need to make these more pronounced. I need to make the swirls more pronounced here. There we go. Alright, I need to go to sleep. So, take care, friends. And if everybody's thinking alike, then somebody isn't thinking.